All right, Cage Side Press, a monumental moment, the first interview of 2024, and I'm honored to be joined by TUF 31 alum and UFC lightweight Landon Quinones. Landon, how we doing, man? Happy holidays.
Good, man. Thank you. Happy holidays. How was yours? How's your new year?
Good, man. Chilling holidays. I took some time off work, just relaxed with the wife and the fam here, so no complaints. You have a good Christmas and New Year and everything?
Yeah, but I'm obviously in training camp, so it's not like I'm able to
Yeah.
go crazy. I haven't touched no alcohol. I ate a little food on New Year's, but aside from that, even on Christmas, like I didn't eat anything all day because I'm Puerto Rican, so we do the pernil and the arroz con gandules and all that stuff. So I took like my whole day, trained in the morning, didn't eat nothing just so I could eat, and like I wanted to gorge myself that day, but I ate one plate and I was full, and that pissed me
Yeah.
off. But it's all good though. At least I got to enjoy time with the family. New Year's, I went out for like 2 hours at my friend's house down the street, like 10 minutes away. I was in bed by 12:40. The ball dropped and I went home. I was so sleepy, man. I was so tired. I
It
don't know
sounds,
if it's like I'm tired for training or I'm just getting old.
I was gonna
But
say, dude, it sounds like we're in kind of the same boat, man. I'm getting tired. I was asleep by like 1:30 on New Year's, and it's
yeah,
pretty early for me. But and I actually understand. I sympathize with the weight cutting through the holidays a little bit. I'm doing my first ever jiu-jitsu tournament in January, so
what
I
belt are
can't.
you?
I'm a white belt, got two stripes, so I'm just gonna do a little white belt bracket and grappling
Attaboy.
initially.
I
Yeah, we'll
like to
see.
see it. Attaboy.
We'll see how it goes. Not up to your guys' caliber. Not ever looking to get there,
Brother,
but
competition is competition. If you're doing martial arts and you're testing yourself and you're trying to find what you're made of, bro, I salute you on that. It doesn't make a difference on whether it's a fight, jiu-jitsu tournament, you're challenging yourself and you're part of the 1%. So good for you, man.
well, I appreciate you saying that, man.
For sure.
I'll fight hard for y'all. But Landon, about you, man. A lot of people watching this interview are going to know you, recognize you from Tough 31. Team McGregor, obviously anything with Conor gets a lot of eyes. You were right there with him, so a lot of people know you. So I guess like I've seen in interviews you talk about the experience. I'm not asking for you to run that back, but a question I don't think heard you've been asked before is how did that experience prepare you for the UFC now that you actually have a UFC fight under your belt?
It taught me. I did say this in a couple interviews. It taught me to embrace the emotions, man. And it also taught me that this fight game is so ever evolving, and martial arts is such an endless journey, man. Because I remember fighting these Titan fights and like fighting these overseas fights in Dominican Republic in front of these hostile crowds and being under high pressure situations, coming back from injuries and being in those lights. I thought I had it figured out. You know what I mean? But one thing I learned on The Ultimate Fighter is that no matter what, every single fight's a different fight, and you'll never have this shit figured out. Every single fight, I learned more about myself. I learned something, whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually, whether it be something about technique. I feel like you'll never have this figured out. So it humbled me a lot, not because of the challenge or the difficulty of the actual fights itself, but the environment, the isolation, and being in that environment. I kind of like downplayed the situation. And like I felt like fighting in the Apex with no fans. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna show out. I'm gonna do my thing. But when I got in that Apex and the eerie quiet and like mixed with like living with your opponents and like it was just such a hard, like weird, hostile environment to deal with. And like it was just very uncomfortable for me. And I feel like I downplayed the situation and tried to calm myself down so much that when the fight started moving, I just kind of froze. And I feel like that experience was so valuable because it taught me about myself and understand that I don't fight good when I'm like too calm, man. I like to embrace the emotions, enjoy the process, go with the ride. Self doubt creeps in, and you're always gonna have these thoughts, and you're always gonna try and suppress them. But like at the end of the day, you can't really beat them. So you got to make friends with that feeling and just understand what this is and respect what fighting is, and just we do it every day and we love it. So we got to continue to embrace that the best we can and understand that pressure and fear and nervousness is part of it. And that's part of why we love it, because it's what gets us that high. It's what gets us to that high level that self, what's the word? I'm trying to think. Like it's kind of hard to explain that like thing that makes you learn about yourself. It's like the thing that challenges you. So we love the
Self-reflection
challenge, right?
almost.
That's part of the challenge. The emotions is part of the challenge. And when we strive and go to get that victory, it makes it all worth it. So embrace those moments, embrace the fear, embrace the emotions. And I feel like when I do that, I fight my best. And obviously, I know I didn't get the win last fight, but DC asked me in the pre-fight interviews, he's like, if you froze up and did that, and you feel like you did that on tough in front of nobody, what makes you think you're ready for 21,000 people? And I was like, because I learned to embrace it. I learned to embrace the moment. I learned to take it in. and I learned to go. And I know, like I said, obviously I didn't get the win, but I feel like I fought my ass off. And, if I showed up even half the fighter I fought not against Nasrat, even out of shape like that, I feel like I would have been able to steamroll through TUF, So I feel like I'm taking those lessons and I'm moving forward in my career. And I feel like it's going to be a huge difference maker coming forward. I don't think I'm just a guy that's here to be in the UFC. I think I'm a real deal contender. You know what I mean? And each fight, I'm going to continue to try and prove that.
I mean, yeah, man, you absolutely shined in front of that sold out arena. It was a crazy fight because you came in as a big underdog and you didn't look like it at all in there. Well, I'll ask you about Nasrat in a little bit here, but just sticking with TUF. Have you talked to Conor at all lately? Like I know because he's got, he just made his post the other day about the fight coming up.
I mean, I text him and respond to his story sometimes. I comment on his stuff. He comments on my stuff. We're cool. You know what I mean? I haven't had really in-depth conversation. Conor's got a lot of business ventures. He's a real busy dude. We're cool. He's someone that's had a great influence on my career, great influence on my mental, and watching him operate. Because when we were doing TUF, like he was the coach for TUF, but he wasn't just the coach. Like he was training with us.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't just like he was like sitting on the side. Like he was partnering with us. I got to spar with him. If you didn't see him bust my ass in the video. You know what I'm saying? I got to watch him do drills. I got to do practices run by him as he's doing them. So I kind of got to see how, and I don't want to say as far as like he's the GOAT because there's guys that have defended belts more. There's guys, but if you look at his run, he's probably the most prosperous and successful fighter in the history of the sport. So being able to see how he carries himself, how he operates, how he moves, how he takes care of his people, how he acts, and like it was very influential. So I haven't really spoken to him much, but I'm happy for him. He's doing good. I know he's a busy dude, so I try not to be bugging him like that.
I mean, yeah, and now he's preparing for his fight with Michael Chandler. The TUF match finally comes to fruition. International Fight Week. What are your thoughts on that scrap, especially because it's at 185 pounds apparently?
I don't know, man. Y'all take Conor way too seriously, bro. I mean, I know, I'm sure the fight date and stuff is serious, but if you've been watching his videos, he's getting a little slimmer, he's getting a little smaller, he's trained. But the thing is, everyone acts like, oh, because he's on these boats and stuff and doing all this shit. The dude don't train. The dude trains every day and he trains a lot. The only difference, and like when he's in training camp, he ain't doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and in reality, like he's got the money to where like he doesn't have to have a set schedule when he's out of camp. Like he can call his coaches and like he can afford to pay them to come at whatever time he wants. He can afford to do these things. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean he's not working, but the dude has been training, man. And I feel like he's gonna spark Chandler, to be real. I mean, I don't really have a good relationship with Chandler personally because I was his teammate for a few years over at Killcliff.
Right.
But I'm from a skill perspective, like Chandler's just a top 5% athlete for sure. He's tough as fuck. He's got a lot of heart. He's got crazy power. He gets after it, no doubt about it. But if you talk skill for skill, Conor's timing is like no other. His pressure is like nothing I've ever felt. He's very powerful, you know what I mean? And he's got ridiculous, like I said, his timing, you know what I mean? When you get a guy like Chandler who's wild and swings a reckless abandon, like I have a feeling that Conor's going to be able to snipe him, you know what I mean? And if it goes past round one, I think it definitely goes in Conor's favor because Chandler's going to blow his load. He's going to go crazy. Conor's going to control the space. And if he doesn't get him out of there in round one, I think he gets him out of there at least in round two.
I'm just excited for the fight, man. So long overdue.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be a good one. And you just mentioned Killcliff. I'm looking at your Instagram, following you and stuff. I've seen you for this camp. You've been training all over the place. So, like, are you still at Killcliff? Like, what's your training schedule been like?
I'm no longer over there right now. I felt like after training with Conor and just seeing like the holes in my game and the things I needed, I feel like I've learned that the smaller gym approach is a better approach for me personally. Sure. Training with less partners, you're a little bit more accountable. You have the coach's eyes on you. Like I don't need to be babysat. I never been needed that. I never needed anyone to watch me 24/7 every second of my rounds or fucking calling my phone. But it's a lot better when I have coaches correcting me constantly and constantly fixing the details of my game. So I've been training at MMA Science Academy. We call it the Pack Fight Team. It's my home gym that I've been at since I was 18 years old. The thing is, when you're a big fish in a small pond or you get to a certain level, you need to go places with better bodies and a better challenge for people to go with, right? Guys your size, things like that. I started off at American Top Team when I turned pro when I was about 20 years old. After about 3 years there, I went to Killcliff, which at the time was Hard Knocks 365. And Hard Knocks 365 eventually turned to Stanford MMA. Stanford MMA eventually became Killcliff FC. But they're a great team. Nothing against them. Great coaches, great teammates. I love my teammates. I still talk to them all the time. But I felt like I needed to do something that was more geared toward me. So I started training full time at my original home gym. And then also I've always gone to my strength and conditioning and Symmetry Fitness, which is a gym in Fort Lauderdale as well. And then that's really it, man. I've really kept it small. I keep my circle small. I try to tune out all the noise. I don't really want to fight for attention. I'm not fighting to be the best dude in the gym or the best dude in the room. I'm trying to do what's best for me, get better in all the areas I'm weak at, and I'll fight there. I'm trying to shine, and that's it, you know? So I'm really not all over the place. I've been pretty much at 2 gyms. Not
And
anymore. I've just been more low key. I've been more working in silence for this camp, you know?
yeah, for sure, man. And I mean, just training at a small gym myself, that's definitely more vibe for myself too. Like I totally get that, man. I'll be lost walking into one of those giant gyms, man. It's a very different game.
I don't know. I just feel like with the way I'm training now, I'm training under more of a system. You know what I mean? I feel like when you're at these big gyms and these pro practices, yeah, the workouts are great. Yeah, the training's hard, but as far as like getting better at specific things, they lack that. You know what I mean? There's so many guys around. You have a room of 75 fighters with 3 coaches.
Yeah.
And like you got, okay, we're gonna do a single leg. We're gonna do head inside shots. Figure it out. You know what I mean? Like you never get good at anything specific. And like I feel like in a gym that big and everyone's on the same program, like, yeah, that's good. You got good team energy, team vibe, but I feel like everyone needs different things. You know what I mean? This is MMA, right? You got some guys that need more striking. You got some guys that need more wrestling. You got some guys that need more jiu-jitsu. You got some guys that need more live rounds. You got some guys that are not in camp and don't need live rounds. You know what I mean? So when you have everyone in the same program a certain way, it can be kind of difficult. You know what I mean? So when it's smaller and you got a couple of guys fighting and a couple of guys not fighting, everyone can kind of like adjust to the guys that are fighting and then help each other out and grow off of each other, you know? Then when it's their turn, we're there for them, you know? But we're not overexerting ourselves. We're just kind of like rotating in on each other. So it kind of works. It works well that way. And I feel like I found more of a balance and I feel like my skills have improved way more. When I got back from TUF was when I kind of made that move. Because my thing is like that big gym shit's a lie, bro. If Conor can do it out of a shack in Dublin with his small group of people that he's been with forever, why the fuck can't I? You know what I mean? I know I have the talent. I know I have the skills. I know I'm an intelligent dude and I comprehend technique well. So I don't need to be in this big ass room. It doesn't really matter what gym a dude trains at or who he trains with. You know, I feel like I have great coaching. I have great direction. And the most important thing is if I have great energy around me. So, yeah.
Who's coming with you to be in the corner?
My boy Troy Worthen, he fights for one championship. His contract's about to expire. He was also my teammate at Kill Cliff at one point. And then also Roger Crawley's been my head coach since day one. He was Amanda Nunez head coach pretty much most of her career. As well as he was one of the head striking coaches at ATT, but he's been like a father figure to me. He's been my coach since I was like 18 years old. So I'm 28 years old now. So, and even my first year of training, my first ever coach at the first gym I trained at came from him. So, you know what I mean? Like, I've been under his system for 11 years now. I actually just got my black belt striking from him this past year. So, it's been a long ride, and I feel like I've stuck with my people that have been with me since day one. It's going to be a fun ride. I might bring someone with me, too, like a training partner. I don't know who yet, but either way, it's going to be fun, man. Tight circle. I'm feeling real good about this one. It's going to be a fun one.
And then, yeah, I mean, we're talking about this fight. You're going up against Marquel Mederos. What are your thoughts on him? What have you seen from him so far?
He's a good fighter, man. You know, the thing is that when you're in the UFC, bro, everyone's good. You know, there's no crushing cans in this game. Everybody that's in the UFC, whether they're making a debut, whether they've been there, they were all at one point the best in their region, one of the best outside of the UFC. He had a spectacular knockout on the Contender Series, so I know he's a good striker. He has very good low kicks. He's pretty fast. You know, good boxing. He's got a great team behind him in Factory X. Mark Montoya. I've heard his story even about like the way he's dedicated his guys. He's a great guy. But you know, I have experience. I feel like I've been in there with tougher guys. I feel like I've been in those dog fights where you've been hit hard. I've been dropped. I've taken damage. I don't feel like he's ever been the nail in a fight. You know, I'm not saying he can't handle being the nail in a fight, but we haven't seen it. So when he's fighting me, he's for sure going to get tested on that. And we get into a dog fight, we got a test of heart. I feel like I edge him there. I feel like I edge him in the skill. I feel like I'm the only real striker he's actually fought that can make adjustments on the fly and work around what he's doing. And I feel like I could shut him down. You know, I got a few more weeks of camp. I'm already in great shape. I feel like I'm in twice the shape I was when I fought Nasrat already. So a few more weeks. This is my deload week, kind of chilling out. A few more weeks of hard work, and then I'm ready to go to Vegas and make a statement.
Are you a prediction guy?
To be honest, lately, no, I haven't been because I have such a respect for fighting. I think I can stop him. I don't know what round I'll stop him, but I believe I will. But I'm sure he thinks the same thing about me, man. This fight shit is crazy. You know, I might be saying like, oh, I'm going to stop him. I'm going to knock him out. But you never know what's going to happen when you go out there. He might pull out some different tricks that he's never pulled out in other fights before. But we'll see, man. I think I'll get him out of there probably by the end of the second round. I'm not calling it first. I know the kid's tough. He's coming hungry as fuck. I know he's training his ass off like me. UFC debut, biggest fight of his life. But he might be hungry. But like I said before, I'm fucking starving. So I'm there to go get my first win. I'm not here to just be in the UFC. I'm here to be in the UFC and stay in the UFC and hopefully win that belt eventually. So, it's just too bad that he's in the way.
And then going into this one, man, like, up against Mederos, how are you looking at this fight compared to your last fight? Because that's like the big UFC debut, the sold out crowd, going up against almost a ranked fighter in Nasrat. Compared to now, you go back to the Apex for a chance at redemption there against someone who's making their UFC debut. So, like, how do those two fights compare mentally for you?
Well, I don't want to say like it's a step back because Nasrat's a really high level guy and he's fought some of the best guys in the division. But you never know, man. Like I said, like this is 2023, 24, excuse me, 2024.
Yeah.
And we're in a new era of MMA, man, where like all these guys coming up are so good. You know what I mean? The guy making his UFC debut could be a future champion. So I'm not taking him lightly. I'm not overlooking him. But I am looking through him and I'm looking to bulldoze through him. I'm looking to get this finish, and I'm looking to show that I am that level. What you saw against Nasrat, if I had a full camp, I think I could have got him out of there too. I just felt like the gas wasn't there. I couldn't maintain the power. I wasn't. When you're at this level in the UFC, it's not about just being in good shape. You have to be prepared and have training camps to fight guys. You have to be ready for all these guys because all these guys are tough. All these guys want to be here. All these guys are hard ass workers, and all these guys are looking to feed their family and feed themselves. So you have to be prepared. And now this time I am fully prepared. So I think I'm going to come out a whole different guy, a lot more ready, a lot more confident. I feel like I was confident before, but I have a little more to lose this time, but it is what it is, man. Pressure makes diamonds. So I'm ready to go.
Love it, man. And, after you get that big dub, your first UFC win here, what's next for you ideally? Like, you have a timeline for return?
Man, my ideal in a perfect world, I would love to knock Marquel out and hopefully get on UFC Miami. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
UFC Miami would be sick. I'm born and raised in South Florida. A lot of these guys come and train out here at these different gyms, ATT, Killcliff, MMA Masters, and they come to all these big gyms. But like in all reality, I'm born and raised here. I'm born and bred here. I come from nothing. I'm a Broward County boy. You know what I mean? And I feel like fighting in Kaseya Center in front of my hometown crowd, in front of my family, man. Fuck putting me on the prelims, put me on the main card, and I'll put on a show in front of those people, man, and fucking blow the roof off that shit. So that would be like a dream for me. But in all reality, I'm still not out of this first contract. I still got to get through this and make that bread and renegotiate and get my shit together. So whatever God has planned for me, it will be what we do. So either way, like I said, I'm not looking at him like it's an easy fight. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. But in a perfect world, that's what I would like.
Sure.
But I'm looking to stay active. I can fight 3-4 times in a year. That'd be great. This is the UFC. The higher level you get, things do slow down. And it's just about who's booked and what's available. So we'll see, man. We'll get this one done and we'll talk to the UFC after.
And then, not overlooking Mederos here, not even asking you to really think about this super seriously, but just being in the UFC now with so many exciting names in your division on the roster. Are there any names, maybe even like a Nasrat rematch that's like, ooh, man, I would love that fight soon or someday?
Well, Nasrat, I know at one day he will be ranked. You know what I mean? I really can't call anybody out, man, because there's so many guys on the roster, and the high-profile guys are guys that are not available to me yet. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to fight like maybe a guy like Jamie Malarkey. I think John McDessie got cut, so that's out of it. Ali Quinta. My coach was talking about me fighting Ali Quinta, but I'm pretty sure
Yo.
he's retired right now.
Yeah,
I would
he's
like to
sitting
fight with
out,
a guy
but
like that. But there's a few guys, coming up. A few guys like maybe Trey Ogden. He's actually a coach of my boy Garrett Armfield, but that's another fight I like. There's a bunch of guys out there. A lot of people are talking about me and Roosevelt. Me and Roosevelt are cool, and he trains at Killcliff, so I'm not looking to call him out. But if that fight happened, I think it'd be a firework fight. There's plenty of guys, man. But like I said, it's whatever God has planned. I'm focused on the task at hand. I'm not looking past Marquel. I don't even want to think about nobody else. I've looked at other fights, and I like other fights, but ain't nobody on my mind but Marquel Mederos come February 3rd.
love it, man. And it's just it's very young into your UFC career, plenty of time to think about other people. And then
For
just a
sure.
quick question. Is this your first interview of 2024?
This is my first interview of 2024. So happy New Year to the.
Honored, bro. So a question with that is, since this is your first interview, end of the year, next year, going to be 2025. If you were to look back and reflect on this interview, What goals do you have for yourself this year?
Man, my goal is just to win my next 3 fights, get the second contract. Once I get that second contract, get one more fight, and hopefully by the end of the year, look to start breaking into the top 15, or get some book for early next year to bring in that top 15. And then from there is just one step at a time, man. Make a name for myself, come up, you know what I mean, show the other people around the world and people that come from where I come from that no matter what their circumstances are, they can fucking make it. You know what I mean? Be an inspiration to others. Keep my faith strong. Thank God for everything I have. Be grateful. And like I said, just keep moving forward, man. Change my life, change my family's life, help my coaches eat, you know what I mean? Put food on the table for myself, my team, and yeah, man, just make a difference. I feel like one thing I learned is this fighting shit has to be about more than yourself. And I fight for a lot more than just myself.
And then last thing for me, man, just because, you know, you have so many fans, you're on another UFC card and on the roster now making waves. Anything you'd like to say to all your supporters and everybody watching this interview? If so, the mic is yours.
Man, thank you guys for always believing in me and watching me, regardless of whether the lows or the highs. You know what I mean? I haven't brought a dub back since before TUF. But one thing I can say is I have never lost a fight with a full training camp. You know what I mean? So I promise you, February 3rd, I'm going to put on a show. And I'm going to leave my heart out there. And, you know, Marquel going to have to really, really dig deep to fight me because I'm coming to take a piece of him with me away from that cage. So let's go. Let's go get it. February 3rd. We on.
Landon, my man, thank you so much for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, like he said, February 3rd, ESPN Plus, Landon Quinones kicks off his UFC 2024 season. Landon, kick some ass, bro. Happy New Year's, and we'll talk after that dub, yeah?
Thank you, my man. Absolutely. Appreciate you.